Hey, it's Mindy with Astrology by Love, here today to talk about Candace Owen's chart. So this is Candace Owens. If you don't know who she is, you probably don't pay attention to politics and have a very peaceful life. For the rest of us out there, Candace Owens is a political commentator. She just got put in the #1 podcast position, so she has beat out Joe Rogan. I love that she is a woman. I love that she is accomplished. She is out there doing her own things and stirring some stuff up right now. She claims to have recently had a death threat from the Macrons who rule France. I started watching Candace because of the Becoming Bridget documentary series that she did. It was super interesting. And so I just wanted to take a look at her chart. What is going on with Candace? Why is she the way she is? And is there really a death threat going on? So let's go ahead, jump in and see. So this is Candace's chart. Candace was born on April 29th, 1989. She was born in Stamford, Connecticut. That's with an M, S-T-A-M, Ford, Connecticut. I don't know Candace's birth time. So we are looking at a chart with her sun on the ascendant. I'm finding this is a really good technique when you don't know somebody's birth time. It tends to be a little bit more accurate than putting the ascendant at noon. The first thing I noticed about Candace's chart is that her sun and Ceres are together. So Ceres is the asteroid that tells how we provide for ourselves and how we provide for our families. Part of our calling in this world. It's part of what we do and what we're known for. With Ceres and the sun so close together, Candace is known for her career. She was born to be a career woman, to stand out and to be known for what it is that she does for work and for a living. As a podcaster who has her own show, she's doing a good job. We tend to follow our calling and what we're designed for. So Candace being in the spotlight, having her own show, and reporting on subjects that are meaningful to her is a part of her destiny. Now, there are two stars that are nearby Ceres in Candace's chart. So one is Hamal. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. H-A-M-A-L. It incurs violence, cruelty, brutality, and it also has a healing energy to it. Shadar is the other one. Once again, not sure that I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it brings in the energy of astrology, mysticism, and writing. One thing that has really fascinated me recently watching Candace is her talking about her dream. She is currently investigating and going deep into Charlie Kirk's murder, and she claims that Charlie came to her in a dream. I have always thought dreams were very important. They were very telling. Sometimes they bring us self-awareness. Sometimes they do tell us about the future, but they're important to pay attention to, and it's not every day that you see someone in the mainstream media paying attention to their dreams and talking about it on such a public platform. Part of the reason that Candace is doing this is because she's built that way, and this is from the influence of Hamal and Shadar. Ptolemy wrote about the stars in Tetrabiblios, and he defined Hamal as a star that has the energy of Mars and Saturn, and Shadar is a star that has the energy of Venus and Saturn. So when Mars and Saturn are together, this is a very specific energy. This is being motivated by details, getting to the bottom of things, doing things exactly right. Venus and Saturn has high standards. This is only wanting the best. This is not going to a bargain store and getting something. And the energy from these two stars brings a little bit of law of attraction magic to Candace and her work. If you've watched her show, listened to any of her research, she does go deep. She goes into the details, and she claims not to reveal the information until she has made sure it's credible. These two stars very much show up and create part of the energy that makes Candace so successful. Next, let's talk about Candace's Venus placement. So Venus is in its home sign of Taurus. So this is very good taste. This is someone who is definitely a foodie, looking good, living well, having high standards, being able to receive abundance and be feminine. This is part of Candace's character and how she behaves and maneuvers in the world. Her Venus is also in line with 2 stars. So the first one is Almec. Not sure that I'm saying that right. It's at 14 degrees, 15 minutes of Taurus. It shows success in Venusian occupations, artistic ability, and popularity. Candace is the #1 podcast. I don't know that you can get more popular than that. Then the second star is Minkar. It's at 14 degrees, 19 minutes. These stars are only 4 minutes away. So their energy very much blends. Minkar brings in disease, throat troubles, unjustified enemies. If you're watching Candace's show, it seems like everybody hates her. And all she's trying to do is find out who killed Charlie Kirk. But the people at Turning Point are turning against her somehow. It's really some interesting drama. Minkar also brings in the energy of a sudden emergence of deep unconscious issues, which comes back to that dream that she keeps referencing where Charlie came to her. Candace also has Mercury, possibly in Taurus, possibly in Gemini, depending on what time she was born in the day. Whenever a planet is at 29 degrees or one of the higher degrees of the sign, like 26, 27, 28, 29, it has that part of the soul comes into the life a little bit more accomplished, ready to excel in this area. People who have their Mercuries in the late degrees of a sign are better able to articulate, communicate. They naturally go through some type of training or have some type of gifting in this lifetime where they are known for their communication styles, the words that they say, and getting ideas out there. Now, if Candace was born later in the day and her Mercury is in the sign of Gemini, Gemini is the home sign of Mercury. Gemini and Virgo both rule Mercury, and anytime Mercury is anywhere in Gemini or Virgo, these are souls that easily communicate. Yes, there can be placements that would frustrate that depending on the chart, depending on the soul, but wherever Mercury was when Candace was born, whether it was 29 of Taurus or 0 of Gemini, it indicates a great communicator. Now there is also a set of stars at 29 degrees, 58 minutes. It's called the Pleiades. It brings about accidents, violence, but it also brings about feminine power. So, and I've got to be honest, back when everybody was studying the stars and making all this, feminine power was probably considered an accident or violence. The Pleiades is definitely a pro-feminine energy star. And ladies and gentlemen, we are in a day and age where a woman can have the #1 podcast. It is a great time to be alive. Also at 0 degrees and 0 minutes of Gemini is a star called Alcyone. So it brings about ambition, honor, glory, trouble with the opposite sex. This is a wonderful placement for someone who is wanting to accomplish things, be known, and also, I mean, Candace is stirring up trouble. She's got a death threat from the president of France. She is accusing the president of France's wife as being born a man. So this would definitely be troubles with the opposite sex. This is playing out on stage. We can see it. But Candace is definitely known for her work and the way that she articulates things, what she says. And as a woman with the #1 podcast, she definitely has that feminine power going on because of her voice and the things she says and the way she thinks. Then, of course, there are more blessings for Candace when it comes to communication, because you don't get to be the #1 podcaster without having phenomenal help from the universe. In Candace's chart, the planet Jupiter was in the sign of Gemini. So once again, Gemini and Virgo rule Mercury. This is communication. This is how we think, how we speak, being known for the words that we say. Jupiter is where we have protection, it's where we have blessings, it's where we have abundance in our chart, and Candace has blessings and abundance around communication, around her speech. One of the things she's talked about in her podcast is how she has to share this in order to keep herself protected. She is now sharing information in case the assassination does happen. Jupiter in Gemini loves to communicate, over-communicates, over-talks, always has something to say, normally very intelligent. And something else that is interesting about Candace's Jupiter is that it's unaspected. It doesn't have contacts to anything else in the chart. So when a planet is unaspected, it typically will show out, be out there, be the center of attention, and then pull back. And when it pulls back, we don't hear from it, we don't see it. We're like, is that part of the personality even there? Did that blow up? Did that time when they were showing off even really happen? So we see Candace sometimes showing up, more information tons to do, and then other times she just disappears and we like, where'd Candace go? That's a very Gemini influence, keeping us on our toes. Is she there? Is she not? What's she saying? We don't know. And that is also the influence of an unaspected planet pulling back, showing up, being loud. An interesting side note is that Candace talks about her relationship, her friendship with Kanye West, with Ye. He also has Mercury in the sign of Taurus. His Mercury is in line with a star called Algol, which is at 26 degrees of Taurus. So that is somewhat close, 4 or 5 degrees away from Candace's. And his Mercury is also unaspected. So they both have that communication that's out there. They're known for it, and then it pulls back, and you're like, where'd they go? Jupiter in Candace's chart is also in line with a star. So we've already got the help and the communication, the blessing, the protection and communication. But then the star Aldebaran is at 9 degrees, 47 minutes. It's in line, very close to Candace's Jupiter. Aldebaran brings about eloquence, high honors, integrity, popularity, more popularity for Candace, courage, warmongering, and agitation. Y'all, she is stirring it up. She is stirring it up, and that is part of her soul's calling in this life, and she is walking the path. Keep it up, Candace. Next, let's talk about Candace's Mars and Chiron placement, because they are together. The planet Mars, when Candace was born, was at 0 degrees of Cancer. So Candace is very much turned on by the idea of having a family, wanting a family. Family is very important to her. It motivates her. There's also a potential for violence within the family or towards the family. Mars is also nearby Chiron. So Chiron is the place that we are wounded. It's our inner hurts, the place that kind of makes us cringe when people get too close. This is the stuff we wind up talking about nonstop in therapy. In the sign of Cancer, the thing that makes Candace cringe is something that happened to her probably around the age of 3 from her family. So there is some masculine energy in the family that maybe was violence. Mars in a water sign is sometimes emotionally abusive. This could also indicate alcohol abuse. With Chiron there, though, family is also the thing that heals Candace. And Mars and Chiron together in Cancer line up beautifully. They have a trine and a sextile to Candace's nodes. So she very much is motivated by family, by keeping her family from being hurt, by healing family hurts. Family is very important to Candace, and she goes after it in a sort of wild, unprecedented, emotionally charged way, with Mars being at that 0 degree and being in the sign of Cancer. Family's super important to her, as are the men in her life, and they also hurt and heal her and help her along to her destiny. I also wanted to mention Candace's Juno. So Juno is the asteroid that tells us what we ideally think a partner is like. So Candace's Juno is in the higher degrees of Leo. Leo energy is someone who is kingly, regal, maybe a little bit self-centered, but definitely a superstar, at least in their own mind. This is someone who is outgoing, stable, loyal, a bit theatrical, probably funny. And it's at Candace's South Node. I kind of giggled when I saw that. I don't know the exact timeline for Candace's engagement, but it's my understanding that it was in less than a month her and George Farmer got engaged, which is kind of crazy in our society. It's not something that, we really do. I mean, we're just still kind of struggling with the third date a lot of times 1 month in. The South Node, though, is what we come into this life talented at. This is our natural giftings, our natural abilities. Juno is close by the South Node. It is in a different sign, but getting married is just something that's comfortable to Candace. Having a husband, having someone there. And so that super quick engagement that they had lines up with this energy in Candace's life. And I also wanted to point out Candace's Black Moon Lilith in her chart. So it is at 3 degrees of Scorpio. So Black Moon Lilith is the place in our life where we kind of consider the energy to be a little bit naughty. It's something we're attracted to, but societally we feel like it's out of bounds, it's out of place. Maybe it's something we shouldn't do, but we want to do it. And hers is in the sign of Scorpio. So Scorpio is the natural researcher. They will get to the bottom of it, even if they're just feeling vibrations. They are going to know, they are going to understand. And there is something about this energy with Black Moon Lilith, with her wanting to get to the bottom of things, that trines Mars and Chiron, hurt males in her life. I'm talking about Charlie Kirk here, which, listening to Candace, she considered Charlie Kirk family, so this may be the representation of that. And these energies also line up with her North Node. Her North Node is in Pisces. This is a spiritual destiny. Her South Node is in the sign of Virgo. Once again, that goes back to communication, practical matters, practically applying communication, research. And this energy of research from Black Moon Lilith, the hurting of men in the family, all lines up with her spiritual destiny. She is naturally gifted at this. When she puts a little bit of effort in, the energy flows. That 120 degree grand trine energy flows. It's a gift from the universe, and Candace will get to the bottom of Charlie Kirk's murder. The next planet I want to talk about in Candace's chart is Pluto. So Pluto is in the sign of Scorpio. So Pluto is definitely a generational planet. It takes anywhere from 12 to 36 years to move through a sign, depending on which sign it is. Pluto was in the sign of Scorpio from 1983 to 1995. This was a 12-year period. Pluto is at home in Scorpio. Pluto is the god of the underworld. This is secrets. This is life and death. The generation of Pluto in Scorpio is one of my favorites. So they were born after me. This is not naturally how my soul vibrates. But Pluto in Scorpio wants the truth, the ugly truth, the whole truth, with warts, no manners. They just want that bare truth. And one of the things that I find so funny is that the baby boomers were born with Pluto in Leo. So Pluto in Leo is concerned with looking good. It doesn't really matter what the facts are, just as long as they look good. It looks good. And so whenever you get a chance to watch someone with Pluto in Scorpio get in an argument with someone with Pluto in Leo, it's a death match. Because Pluto in Leo is just sitting there saying, hey, let's consider how it looks. Let's consider the way, things are seen. And Pluto in Scorpio is like, who cares? Burn it all down. Let the truth come out. Let the truth be told, come what may. President Trump had called Candace and asked her to stop with her reporting on the Macrons. President Trump has Pluto in Leo, which is a generation that is concerned with how things look. And Candace said she didn't care. She's going to keep reporting. Come what may, Candace is getting to the bottom of this and telling the truth. And that is her soul's calling in the generation of Pluto in Scorpio. That is y'all's calling. So Pluto is the planet of obsession. It's the planet of addiction. It's of going too far, needing ultimate and total perfection. Pluto is opposite Candace's Ceres, Sun, Venus. This is people who are obsessed with her work, with what she's doing. This is also people who are interested in destroying her. Pluto likes control. So there are people in Candace's life, or trying to be in Candace's life, that want her to do certain things, behave certain ways. And Candace doesn't seem to be having it. That's part of the fun of watching her podcast. The next group of planets I want to talk about in Candace's chart are all considered generational planets. So Candace has Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn together in the sign of Capricorn. This is unique to the millennials. So this is a generation that is nervous, sensitive. This is a group that's a little bit more psychically aware than other generations. It's rare that outer planets like that come together in a bunch, but they did during the time that the millennials were being born. The anxious sensitivity that we see play out in this generation, this awareness of Mother Earth, of rebelling against the foundations, the patriarchy, the people in charge. This is part of the millennials calling card. And these planets are here in Candace's chart as well because she was born during this time. One of the things I keep hearing people say is that some people say, oh, Candace is a liar. Is Candace a liar? So there are a few parts of the chart I would look at if someone asked me if someone was a liar. So one would be Saturn. Saturn is not just the physical structures of our life, it's the internal structures. This is the moral structures of our life. I would also look at Mercury, and I would look to see if Neptune has a hard aspect to anything. In Candace's chart, Saturn is in line with a star called Acela. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Acela brings in the energy of a religious mind. It's thoughtful. It's philosophical. It's a writer on religious or similar subjects. So when it comes to the internal moral structure, Saturn in Candace's chart is well placed in the sign of Capricorn. So Capricorn rules Saturn. There's a structure there. Boundaries and rules in Candace's life make sense. She is able to respect them. Neptune and Uranus both have influence on this. There is some rebelliousness and sensitivity to the rules and structures. This is internal and external. All these planets, though, are playing well with Candace's Sun, Ceres, and Venus. So this is called a trine. This is 120 degrees. This is an easy energy flow. Candace vibes with her generation. Not only vibes from it, she benefits from it financially with Venus there, and in her work life with Ceres there. Her structures and internal values are part of her success. Mercury in her chart, as I said earlier, I don't know if it's at the very end of 29 degrees of Taurus or the very beginning of 0 of Gemini, but it is influenced by Alcyon, which is honor, glory. Candace enjoys telling the truth. She doesn't even have to lie when the truth is this crazy. It is her soul's ambition to get to the bottom of what's going on, to scrape that barrel, to get all the ick out and expose it. I know some folks are not going to want to hear me say this, but Candace Owens does not have a liar's natal chart. Now, I don't have Candace Owens' birth time. However, the moon was in Aquarius that day. The moon can move as much as 14 to 15 degrees in a day. I do have this chart set at her birth time for noon, but it's oriented to put the sun on the ascendant. With the moon in Aquarius, this is more energy of vibrating with her generation. Aquarius is the energy of the people. This is society. This is wanting to be a part of the fabric of society, get along with everybody, but be almost irrationally honest. So Aquarius likes marching to their own drum. They like being aligned with their unique calling, and they don't apologize for it. Now, the moon in a chart does talk about a mother. So when Candace was growing up, She very much felt like her mother put her friends before Candace. This can be a little bit of a difficult placement when it comes to emotions, upbringing, and relationship with the mother. However, for a podcaster, it's excellent. For someone who wants to get words and communication and ideas out to the world, out to society, out to their generation, this is great. I don't know what contacts Candace's moon has in her chart because I don't know the birth time. But Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Saturn. That goes back to this conjunction between Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn that occurred in her generation. And once again, this is more energy of her vibing with the people. So this is Candace Owens' chart. This is who she is, but what's going to happen? Are they really coming after her? So Pluto has recently moved into the sign of Aquarius. That is where Candace's moon is. As women, a lot of times we express more from our emotions, more from our moon sign than from our sun sign. Pluto in Aquarius coming towards her moon is putting her to the test. It's testing her. It's seeing if she is in her divine flow, if she is following her calling. It is also bringing a level of obsession to her in her show. She's got the #1 podcast. Over the next few years, we are going to see obsession with Candace grow. She is also going to have to jump through some hoops because Pluto doesn't just hand us stuff. It makes sure we are doing what we are supposed to be doing. But when Pluto finds us aligned with our calling, it skyrockets us. Also, what's interesting right now is that Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus are all touching or making aspects to Mercury in Candace's chart. Now remember, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus are that conjunction. Those are the planets that define the vibe, the way that the millennials are known, how they move through society. So Saturn and Neptune are currently in the sign of Pisces. They are sextiling her natal Mercury. This is bringing a spiritual sensitivity to the way she is thinking, to the way she is speaking, and also a formal structure. So a lot of times Neptune and Saturn coming together is a sense of religion. It's putting rules around spirituality. And Candace does talk about her faith in her podcast. When we go back to her natal Saturn being in line with that star Acela that brings about a religious mind, that's part of who Candace is. And the energy is being doubled down right now with Neptune and Saturn sextiling her natal Mercury. Also right now, Uranus is sitting on top of, it's called a conjunction. Uranus is transiting a conjunction with her natal Mercury. Now, Candace carries in her soul Pluto opposite her sun. There is always a potential that Candace could receive violence. She's definitely received death threats. Pluto opposite the sun could not only be people trying to control her, this could be people trying to control her with violence. So the potential for an assassination is there in her soul. I'm sure Candace has a top-notch security team. The potential is there for violence against Candace. However, right now, the potential for something unexpected is more likely to come towards her children. So Mercury in our natal chart does represent how we speak, how we think. It is also the young people in our life, children. Mercury in that 29th degree of Taurus or 0 degree of Gemini, Candace is going to have some well-educated, well-spoken children. With Uranus there, Uranus can bring brilliant insights. It can also bring chaos to communication. Candace may feel like she's just got a scattered mind and everything's going everywhere. That's part of it. Uranus can also bring in the energy of cutting off. So it can end things swiftly. This could potentially result with Candace being taken off the air on various platforms. This could also result with violence or unexpected accidents with her children. Candace, take care of those babies. Come the end of January, Mars moves into Aquarius. This will be a 90-degree angle towards Candace's sun, and towards the end of February, Mars will be in a position to square, once again, a 90-degree angle against her Mercury. So this could be society attacking her show. This could be people in crowds coming against her children. On February 27th, Mars squares Uranus in the sky. So some kind of anger will cause some sort of disruption in money flow, in food flow, in having fun. It's going to be a pretty chaotic day. And Candace has her planet Mercury nearby. Y'all pay attention to her show on February 27th. See what's going on. We would much rather this affect her show than her children. And then that last half of April, we're going to see her show get crazy again. She may just have some brilliant insights, which hopefully that's what's up. On May 1st of 2026, Saturn is sextiling Venus. Venus is in line with her Jupiter. So this may be people in authority cutting her off, putting restrictions on her, and yet it blows up her show. It blows up her bank account somehow. Uranus is still in that 0-degree point at this time, so it could be chaos and crazy with her show. Protect those kiddos, Candace. But I'm sure I will still be watching those episodes come April and May. And if y'all haven't seen Candace's show, go check it out. I was on a long car trip and had gone into the gas station to get a drink. And the guy at the checkout was ignoring me. And I kind of stood there awkward for a moment, finally waved. And he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm enthralled." And he starts telling me about Candace's reporting on Brigitte Macron. And so, you know, you're on a long car trip, you may as well listen to some YouTube videos. And that was how I got hooked. Y'all check out Candace. There are still many more interesting episodes to come. I appreciate you hanging with me today. If you would like a reading, please go to my website. You can schedule one. I'll go through all the stars, the placements, the energies in your life as well. And y'all have a fabulous time. I will see you again soon.